Hi everybody and welcome back to Reading the Signs, Astrology and Tarot on YouTube. This lunar lesson is on the new moon in Libra on the 16th of October 2020. This new moon is sandwiched right in between two full moons, one on the first day of the month, one on the final day of the month, the second being a blue moon on Halloween, but there will be a video coming on that shortly. So, this new moon is of course in Libra, so it's not without its charms, but there is a trickiness to this that is a big reset moment in 2020. Every year in Libra season, Libra being the sign of balance, we have a full moon in Aries, Libra's opposite sign, so we have the balance of love and war, war and peace. We have the balance of divine feminine and divine masculine, Libra being ruled by Venus, Aries being ruled by Mars. However, this year, the new moon in Libra is going to be opposed Mars in Aries. Not only that, it's going to be squaring Jupiter and squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So, with the new moon being squared Mars, we have a moment of conflict, a moment of recognition that the relationship between the divine masculine and divine feminine needs to change. It needs to balance. As a society, I think it's very obvious that we have for too long been in favor of masculine energies. And you know, before you get to a point in your mind where you want to say the patriarchy doesn't exist or it favors men, the patriarchy doesn't favor anybody. That is why men are having such a tough time in terms of being, you know, so much higher in the suicide rates and this complete pressure to be successful, to achieve great financial abundance, to be competitive, to lie and cheat to get ahead for the sake of getting ahead. That's all wounded masculine energy. That's not even divine masculine energy. The patriarchy is a wounded masculine energy. This new moon is showing where there has been an imbalance for everybody, because within us all exists divine feminine and divine masculine energy. And the aspects to Capricorn being ruled by Saturn, a very karmic energy, is showing us where that really needs to change, where all of it needs to be rebalanced. So to have the new moon opposite Mars in this way is showing us, especially because Mars is retrograding and is effectively slowed down, we can see Mars in the sky so clearly, so vividly. And its energy is being felt by all of us in terms of frustration and in terms of potentially anger. And one thing that I have noticed recently is in the news, at least where I'm from, there have been unusual attacks on women, which shows the aggression within whoever does those kind of things, but it's also showing the aggression in terms of how frustrated women are where they stand in the world, their own safety. You know, for a long time you've been told you can't walk alone, you don't get to enjoy the freedoms because you're weaker, basically. So this new moon is that reset moment where we see much of the anger showing. This is a very tricky week astrologically. A lot of the anger is showing in the air. And it's showing us because anger is, first and foremost, in many cases, a secondary emotion. It is not really where we direct our anger a lot of the time. It's not really the source. So, for example, you snap at somebody in traffic. It's typically that there's something else going on there. So this new moon is really showing us where we have aggression, frustration, anger, and maybe why we're feeling that. Where is it really coming from? Because with it being opposite the new moon, it's likely to be an emotional issue of nurturing, where we feel like needs aren't being met, where we feel like things are imbalanced, where we don't feel emotionally safe. So this new moon, for all its trickiness in terms of its aggression, This new moon is showing us where we can actually work through our anger by being more giving, by being more nurturing, and by being more unconditionally loving. Okay, so you might find that very odd to think, well, if I'm feeling like a particular need of mine is not being met, then I'm going to withdraw, or I'm going to, stop doing what I'm doing. But this is more to do with yourself. So Venus is opposite Neptune. Venus is the ruler of this new moon. It's in Virgo, which is a service sign. So Venus in Virgo is often an energy that is associated with showing you love through acts of service. It's opposite Neptune in Pisces. Pisces is the home sign of Neptune, which is all to do with unconditional love and loving at a spiritual level. And unconditional love is something that we are actually born with, and the divine feminine energy that exists within us understands that. And for many of us, that's kind of been bred out of us. So this new moon is a time to be very accepting and loving of yourself, particularly when it comes to your relationships. A lot of people will find where relationships are out of balance at this moment. You are not giving to yourself enough because you set the example of how other people treat you. So if you're looking to receive more love in your life, the key is to being more loving to yourself. And it's a wonderful intention to set at this new moon that you find balance in your relationships, but also that you find peace with your relationships, but most importantly with yourself. Because Aries energy is the sign of the self, and to balance it out with Libra, we have to have that good relationship with ourselves. So this new moon has a lot of very interesting energies for each of the signs. I recommend that you do watch your sun, moon, and rising, because this is a big astrological shift. I've done lots of oracle and tarot cards for every sign. They will be time-stamped below. This is a beautiful new moon. It might seem frustrating, it might seem challenging, but it is showing you a lot of what you need to know. Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio, which is all about unearthing secrets, possibly even accidentally. So you could really unearth some inner mystery with yourself, especially in terms of relationships, but also in terms of your success and where you're neglecting your divine feminine energy in order to be successful. Because if you could combine both, you would have the success that you really want. And the success you really want probably doesn't look exactly like what you've been taught to want. So keep in mind around this new moon that there's a lot of deep insights that you will have into your own wants and desires. Libra is a sign of the law, it is a sign of justice, and it's a sign of truth. So your truths will come to light. You will definitely be seeking more balance, and it's not about challenging people to get what you want. It's about finding peace within yourself, and everything else follows. So I will see you in the timestamps below for each of the individual signs, starting with Libra. Have a wonderful new moon. Bye. Hi Libra, welcome to your segment on the new moon in your sign. This is your annual new moon. It is a time to reset. It is a time to upgrade. So let's have a look and see what your cards were saying. Obviously the new moon is occurring in your first house. It is opposed to your 7th house of relationships. So really the energy is so strong for you to find some kind of balance. Now, one of the things that is popping up in your cards in particular is conflict. But with the resolving conflict and the start delegating card, Libra, one of the things that is very clear for you, as you can see, one of the things that is very clear for you, especially when we see the love, empathy, and understanding energies at the bottom there, one of the energies I see for you is that you need to be able to ask for what you want. You need to be able to say how you feel. Now, Mercury is retrograding, of course, and that can sometimes appear to be a time when we don't express our needs, but actually it's the opposite. When Mercury is in retrograde, its energies are felt more intensely. And when the energies are felt more intensely, it means that we are being provoked to speak on it. We're being provoked to communicate. Mercury messes with our electronics, okay? And I have a theory that the reason Mercury does this is because Mercury actually wants us to talk properly, wants us to communicate in person, to express our needs in person, to verbalize, to articulate, to express through our bodies how we're actually feeling, rather than through WhatsApp or Facebook or anything like that, which is playing into that distorted masculine energy of hiding how we really feel. You know, hiding behind a screen, hiding behind ourselves, our masks. So I feel for many of you that there may have been a conflict lately, or there may have been an imbalance in a relationship. And with the Start Delegating card here, the key is to ask for what you want, or to express what you want, to say how you feel. I also feel that this is in terms of a marriage or significant committed relationship, or you're actually headed into something like that, because I have the Star and the Hierophant, which is in this deck known as unity. So traditional viewpoints or methods, spiritual organizations, seek out mentors and like-minded friends, happy times, make positive, optimistic, long-term plans on the right path. So with the energy being in Capricorn, Libra, a lot of this is to do with understanding our past and where we come from, who we were shaped to be. I've talked about this a lot in your readings. The energy has not shifted from that area yet. So if you're still feeling like, no, there's nothing I need to do in terms of the past, there's nothing I need to resolve, you're missing something. And I think with the Hierophant card, a lot of it could be to do with the way you were raised spiritually, your religious background. Some of you could actually be rediscovering faith. And the reason that I say that is because with the North Node now being in Gemini, your 9th house of higher self, of higher learning, of religion, of spirituality, that kind of energy, your North Star is pointing you in that direction to be more spiritual, to be more aware, to have a set of religious beliefs. It's been a long time, again, as we shift about the divine masculine, divine feminine, you know, spirituality. I saw this meme about how every girl goes through a witchy phase. Okay. And, you know, that is downplaying people's spiritual practices. Spiritual practices are actually very respectful. They're actually something that guides people through life, and a lot of wisdom and a lot of learning in it. And I'm not talking about the man-made aspects of this, you know, the priesthood or the church, for example. A lot of this is to do with abuse of power, right? So Capricorn energy is abuse of power. For a lot of you, you're finding that, for those of you that grew up in particularly restricted or religious backgrounds, you're finding that aversion to spirituality or something spiritual in your life is shifting, and you're starting to feel a lot more optimistic and coming out of the shadows, because we have the Raccoon card here. So you're finding that glimmer of hope with the Star. Bear in mind, this is your new moon, and the Star also indicates a wish coming true. That is very important. But with the Spirit, the Silver Waterfall, I think a lot of you are going through a moment of cleansing. Okay. So keepers of the earth, you're not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. Your ruling planet is currently in your 12th house, making you more psychic, making you more intuitive, making you more aware. With the Passion card, I also feel that you are still very passionate about somebody from the past, or somebody that's a lot older than you that you need to have some kind of connection with. Maybe you need to resolve an issue. Maybe you need to resolve a conflict. I feel like there is a sense of discord in your life that is really hurting you energetically, is something that I'm seeing. And you're really being asked to deal with that, to see it from a higher perspective, to be wise, to be loving, and to be the one that makes that change. With the Start Delegating card, if there is conflict in your life, the onus seems to be on you, Libra, as this is your new moon, to be the beacon of hope, because it will lead you to happier times. I think for a lot of you, this could be really beautiful healing in relationships that are out of balance. And with the Star card and the Hierophant, this could of course be a marriage union. This could be somebody that you go the long term with Mars being in retrograde. You might revisit an old love, or you might revisit a way of being in relationships that maybe was lost. You know, maybe you lost who you were along the way. Maybe you stopped being able to connect to people in the way that you really wanted to because you lost all sight of your belief system, and maybe you didn't believe in anything anymore. With the raccoon, you're coming out of the shadows and you're actually showing who you are. This new moon is a beautiful reset for you. And with the star card, I feel, Libra, that you can really get anything that you want at this time, anything that you want to manifest. This is your upgrade. This is where you're going. Follow your star. So that's all I have for you, Libra. Have a wonderful new moon. Bye. Hi, Scorpio. Got my Scorpio mug for the Scorpio fam. So this new moon in Libra, it's happening in your 12th house. Quite a spiritual, subconscious, almost spooky new moon for you, really, Scorpio. This is a wonderful time for you to manifest. And the reason that I'm saying that is because the 12th house is where you really get into your spiritual side. And the 12th house is also associated with things like hidden enemies, and it's associated with our addictions. So you could really be having a new start in terms of those. You could really be clearing out some people in your life that are just not healthy for you. You could also be clearing out some habits in general that aren't healthy for you, things that you do, your vices. So your cards told a very interesting story. So your two tarot cards that I had for you were the Knight of Earth and the Ace of Fire. So that is the Knight of Pentacles, and that is also the Ace of Wands. So for a lot of you, Scorpio, the new moon seems to be very much about a reset for you in terms of your purpose, in terms of your momentum in life, okay? So this year has very much been about people in general as an energy. It was a 4-year, it was a number 4 year. It's been very much about slowing down and getting back to basics and getting very much in tune with who we are, how we move. And for a lot of Scorpios, your work has been a huge focus. With the Knight of Earth and the Ace of Fire, I think for a lot of you, this is the beginning of a new job, a new project, a new set of circumstances in terms of your career and financial life. It is a time of fresh energy coming into those areas. With the Ace of Fire being very sparky, being very instant, being very creative, being a seed, and the Knight of Earth being very slow and steady, this is telling you that no matter how excited you feel about something, no matter how enthused you feel about it, remember to take it slow. So the slow, steady energies in your life, Scorpio, you're being reminded that you're planting seeds for abundance. So if this is in your relationships, if this is in your financial situation, your career situation, it's okay to go slow and steady in some regard. It's okay to be patient. We also have the abundance card. So I feel, Scorpio, that if you have something in your life with that 12th house energy, if you have something in your life that you're not seeing results from yet, you're not seeing the end goal, you're not seeing the end result, as it were, this is reminding you that you're headed towards abundance. And actually, Scorpio, going very slow with something in your life right now is a good idea. Why? Because this new moon is square your ruler Pluto. And not only that, it's opposite your traditional ruler Mars, which is in retrograde motion, telling you in your work sector to slow down. You don't have to make everything happen right now. You have to you have to use your inner wisdom. Athena, inner wisdom. Trust your inner wisdom. Get into your spiritual side, especially with the Priestess card. I feel, Scorpio, that you're having to trust your intuition more. The 12th house is all about intuition and knowing that you're going into a new direction, but you don't have to have it all figured out yet, because it will work. Okay, so whether this is, whatever aspect this applies to, Scorpio, where you're feeling frustrated, you feel like things aren't moving quick enough, it's because it's heading towards lasting success that will actually be fruitful and will multiply. You know, it's not a flash in the pan energy you're interested in, so you have to reassess what direction you go with it. It's asking you to slow down. is the basis of this. And I know that that's frustrating for Scorpios to hear, but you're headed towards a period of career advancement, changing your life, a job well done, and honor your commitments. You've taken a path, you've chosen a path, or you're considering a path, and you have to make sure that you're ready to be truly committed to it. So this is a period of revision. I also see the workaholic card, Scorpio, meaning that a lot of you are burnt out. You're tired, you're worn out from your current job, your current situation. You've been working very hard and you feel like you've not been seeing the results. This is telling you not to work harder, but to take a break, to slow down and let things manifest organically. So, you know, it's one thing saying this to Scorpios, it's another thing for Scorpios to actually understand it, because I think if you could see now that you actually deep down in your soul, in terms of work, are going through a moment of exhaustion, are going through a moment where you're very tired, it is telling you to slow down, because your spark is coming back. And after this new moon, you're out of the woods, okay? So this new moon is a reset in terms of having that spark, having that dedication. And I also feel that for a lot of you, in terms of romance or friendship, because the Knight of Earth is all about loyalty, I feel as well that you're focusing more on your relationships that are loyal than people that are flighty or in and out of your life, because you, Scorpio, are having a phoenix moment leading into your season. You're having a moment where you're going to really be feeling that spark again, because with the Ace of Fire and the Phoenix, I feel like this ignition of fire, you could be dealing with a fire sign, but I feel like this ignition of fire is coming into you, where you feel excited, where you feel enthusiastic, where you feel that zest for life, but it lies on the other side of resting, of taking things slow and believing in the abundance that will follow. Okay, so with the Priestess card, I feel that a lot of you are spiritual teachers, a lot of you are wanting to teach, a lot of you are wanting to explore your spiritual side, and it's telling you that you are very intuitive, you are very smart, you are very wise, but know when to rest, know when to take a moment, know when to indulge in the things you love to do, because you can see in the workaholic card, these two, I don't even know what they are, they look like blueberries. A giant blueberry is painting a picture. It's obscure as 2020, isn't it? So indulge yourself in things that you love to do. Be with people that make you laugh, be with people that make you excited, write things, draw things, create things. Some of you are looking to do a more creative profession. And with the owl here as well, I feel like you're being guided by birds. The Phoenix and the owl. I feel like you're finding your wings, you're ready to expand, you're ready to take off, and you're ready to see things from a higher perspective. Remember, the owl is one of the wisest spiritual symbols that there is. And this is 12th house energy, so connect to nature, connect to birds. You will see signs in terms of birds leading you where you need to go, Scorpio, but you're heading into a Phoenix moment. As tired and exhausted as you feel, you're being reborn, okay? So every faith in you heading towards this abundance and this new chapter. Have a wonderful new moon, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi, Sagittarius. Oh, so this new moon is occurring in your 11th house of wish fulfillment, but also friendships and communities, and it is opposed your 5th house of love and creativity. So there's a reset in these areas for you. What's interesting about your cards is that they very much focus on making commitments, making solid commitments. Now, the stellium of Capricorn in your 2nd house is making you want to commit to things more than your typical nature. It's making you want to invest. And the tension with this new moon in Libra is giving you a moment of, you know, real clarity in your emotional life, in particular with your relationships. Now, Mercury is retrograde in your 12th house, which is making you very psychic, very intuitive. And I think for a lot of you, there is a love relationship on your mind quite significantly in terms of feelings being really very strong. So I have for you the commitment card, the Empress, and the 4 of Wands. Ooh. So lavish abundance, give birth to your dreams, nurture yourself and others. Contentment, peace and abundance, a happy home life, the successful completion of a project. So I feel like for a lot of you, you are seeking a new a new period of creativity, but also stability. So you're wanting to have more time to, I think you want more money to invest in your home, or to buy a home, or to show your family how much you care, to show your family how much you love them, to show the people in your life how much you are there for them, showing a solid commitments in these areas. For a lot of you, this could be with the Empress and the Four of Wands. I just feel like this is contentment. This is emotional happiness. This is feeling connected to others. And with the new moon being as it is, the tricky aspects of it, and Neptune being in your 4th house, but opposite Venus in your career sector, I think a lot of you are feeling like, I could spend a bit more time with my family, or I need to invest a bit more time into my love relationships, or relationships in general. Because I think for a lot of you, with the Grandmother card and the Great Gathering, a lot of you really want to be with your family more. A lot of you really want to connect to people that you feel that unconditional love with. Because as well as that, we have the sensitivity card, and I think a lot of you are feeling increasingly sensitive around this new moon. And the reason being is that it is aspecting and challenging your 5th house, which is love, which is romance, which is children, which is in creativity. All these very, loving, abundant energies are coming through in your cards as being your main sense of focus. Okay, so with the Infinite Supply card, it is telling me, Sagittarius, that you need to feel very much that feeling of unconditional love. I think for a lot of you, it could be visiting grandparents, or it could be with your parents, whatever it is. You need to feel really, really accepted at this time, because this new moon is squaring Jupiter, which is your ruler, and that is in your 2nd house of money and stability and things like that. So I think for a lot of you, the real focus here, Sagittarius, is deciding where you want to invest your energies. The Empress is Venus, it is Libra energy, and I think many of you are feeling possibly like you are needing to invest more feeling, needing to invest more energy, and needing to be there more for people, or even have people be there more for you, because you really are sensitive to the imbalances. Now, with the Unicorn card, and this being your 11th house of wishes, I feel like a lot of you could dream bigger. Okay, this is still, despite the challenges and the frustrations to this new moon, it's a lot to do with still having that belief. I know that it's squaring Jupiter, so there is a bit of pessimism, there is a bit of frustration and a bit of concern. I also feel that squaring Jupiter, you might not feel as grateful, you might not see everything that you have, and this is really telling you to look for where the love in your life is, and it will grow, it will expand. And also there is an energy of something that you can't quite see yet that is manifesting, and you wonder if it really exists. So I think for a lot of you, it is buying a home, or redecorating your home, or moving. For others of you, it is marriage. For others of you, it is love, children, whatever this is. I feel like there is something very significant in your life that is manifesting that you maybe cannot see, and it is asking you to trust your intuition and to believe that it will be yours is another thing that's coming up very clearly. Making sure that that it is possible, because I just feel with that square to your ruler, you could be feeling a little bit pessimistic, but at the same time, Venus in your 10th house is actually trining Jupiter. So that is something. I feel that with the 10th house and the 2nd house, there is a sense of abundance. I feel like if a lot of you are looking to invest in something financially in the next 6 months, I feel like it will be yours. So it's a big investment. I feel like it could be bigger money than you're earning, feeling very successful, feeling very contented. But again, with the divine feminine energy, it is asking you, Sagittarius, as ambitious as you are and as much as you want that success, make as much time as possible for your family, especially your mother, or especially your daughters or your grandmothers, or females in your life, your friendships. Make time for them, because that is what's going to replenish you and restore you, is something that is going to actually bring you closer to your goals. There may also be female connections that bring you closer to your goals in life, so don't neglect that energy, okay, Sagittarius? I will see you soon. Have a wonderful new moon. Take care. Bye. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your segment on the Libra new moon. So the Libra new moon is occurring in your 10th house of career and long-term goals, and it is obviously opposite Mars in your family sector, your past sector, your security, emotionally speaking. And all of this energy is squaring off Jupiter and Pluto in your sign. So what's going on for you? Well, there's quite a lot. I think for one thing, a lot of you are feeling kind of stuck. I think a lot of you are feeling kind of in the middle of moving out of something, moving out of a way of being, a way of living, a way of viewing the world, feeling restricted. With the 8 of Air and the Break the Chain card, the illusion of being trapped, a lack of self-confidence, afraid to take action, I feel that the squares to your first house are making you feel very edgy. I think they're making you feel a little bit restricted on how you see things moving forward, as if you can't see the wood from the trees kind of vibe. That's not to say that that's entirely negative, because sometimes it's very good to not see the bigger picture so that you can move back and focus in the moment. Because I think for a lot of you, Capricorn, there is a sense of being out of balance, and Libra season is about bringing you back to that. So where you're out of balance is your career and family life. So maybe some of you have been just in a situation circumstantially where you're, for example, having to quarantine in another country, and you're working from home and you're not getting to see your family. Or maybe some of you are working from home and you're finding it hard to focus on your career because you're more interested in your family, your children, or whatever. I feel, Capricorn, that for you there is a need to, with this new moon, there's a need to strike balance in your career. You're very go-getting, you're very ambitious, and also your cards really favor creativity at this time, which you can have real sparks of genius in terms of creativity with Uranus being in your 5th house. But what I'm seeing for you is that you need to figure out going forward in terms of career, because I feel like there is a bit of uncertainty for you, because I think you've completed something significant in a way, and there's new energies wanting to come in with the Libra new moon. So in terms of your long-term goals, Capricorn, one of the things that's very clear is that you can make amazing things happen, but you have to have some kind of emotional connect. So remember in the beginning of the video that I was talking about the energies of the new moon in general, and how it's a lot to do with reconnecting with the divine feminine energy. For a lot of you, in terms of your career and in terms of your family, there needs to be more emotional expression. So really getting deep into how you feel about your career and your long-term goals, and having that emotional connection to them is what's going to support you. Because with the Instinct and Completion card, I feel that you have a sense that there's a big shift occurring for you in terms of family and in terms of career, and that you need to find a way to balance the two so that they can coexist more peacefully. And the key is actually to invest in it a little bit more emotionally speaking. So we have the Intimacy card and the Knight of Cups. I feel like for a lot of you Capricorns, there's a very strong romantic relationship either in your life or incoming that really feels like it could be the real deal. With the yin and yang energy, you will know, because the new moon is going to expose the balances. So I feel like for a lot of you, you could be about to meet a person who's very harmonious for you, who's very good for you, or you could be in a relationship that really needs to reestablish this balance, because this person either needs more love from you or you need more love from them, and that needs to be communicated, which is interesting considering the astrology of the sky is so focused on your family life. So this is, I think for a lot of you in love, you're really focusing on whether or not you could make a life with this person or not. And for a lot of you, this could be somebody from the past because of that 4th house energy, but I'm really strongly feeling for you Capricorn that you need to be there a bit more emotionally, even for yourself, because with the restriction card, I feel that you're actually breaking out of a very toxic cycle that's ancestral. So breaking out of your karma. Saturn is about to move out of your sign, and you're completing a period where you've had to deal with some reoccurrences that are establishing who you are, what you've set out in this life to do, what your purpose is, who you want to be, who you want to present as. There may have been a lot of regrets about who you have been or what you've done, but you're actually going through a process of healing. And I think that can feel for you, that frustration feels like you're a bit stuck and that you're not moving forward. And that you're maybe not making the connections that you want to make in terms of career, or you're not getting the time with your family or whatever it is. I feel like with the sea serpent, spiritually, you've been going around and round and round in a circle trying to get an answer of some kind. And I think in the second half of the month, you really find with this Knight of Cups energy that perhaps the answer has been within you all along. You've just not been listening to it. Because with the Knight of Water and the Instinct card, Capricorn, I feel like you're having some deep instinctive truths. I also see with this Wolves card, when I think about the phrase wolves run with wolves, I feel with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, there is an old friendship or an old connection of some kind. I think it's friendship. But it could also just be someone reaching out to you on social media. There is somebody from the past, I think. And by the full moon in Taurus, which is when you have those creative genius sparks and insights, so look forward to that, especially creatively speaking, because you're going to have, if you work in a creative profession, you're going to be so inspired. I feel like there could be somebody returning in your life who's a very interesting connection and who's actually part of your next chapter. They might not even have been that significant in your past, but they have a reappearance for some reason. And I feel like this is going to be very balancing for you karmically. There's also a need to forgive somebody from the past. But if you're looking for love or you're currently in a relationship, I feel like this is a time when you really need to get into the depths of how you feel, because there's going to be some surprises coming up with that full moon in Taurus at the end of the month, but it's good. Okay, so there's a need, Capricorn, that you have to put your heart into your career matters rather than try and charge forward on that wounded masculine energy of success, strive, work yourself to the bone. You need to be more emotionally connected, because the way of doing things before is changing, and you need to take a moment to adapt with that and see that it's not that you're stuck, it's that you're evolving. Okay, so I will see you soon, Capricorn. Take care. Bye. Hi Aquarius, welcome to your segment on the new moon in Libra. So the new moon is occurring in your 9th house, which is to do with your higher self. It's to do with your philosophy. It's to do with your higher education. It's to do with the way you view the world from a more evolved standpoint. The opposition to your 3rd house, that 9th house, 3rd house axis can make you feel a bit anxious. And I'm thinking for a lot of you with Mars being retrograde, you're really, especially with Mercury now in retrograde, you're really feeling a little bit like you might have shared too much. Or it could be that you feel like you know too much from other people. The octopus here can represent a need to connect, a need to share. And I feel that particularly with Mercury going retrograde in Scorpio, there's a bit of a catharsis coming up with you in terms of how you connect. So we see with the octopus, he's all these tentacles and he's sort of feeling around and stuff. And when he's defensive, he squirts ink, kind of the way a Scorpio gets defensive and stings. With the astrology being the way it is, especially with Mars being retrograde in your 3rd, the way that you communicate is feeling quite challenged. It's also feeling like you're sharing too much, or you're finding it hard to express yourself. You're finding it hard to convey what you mean. And I think as well, the aspects with so much in the 12th house to do with secrets, Aquarius, is you're actually going through this moment of real release. And you could be feeling at times as though you're letting go of a lot of things that you thought you'd let go of already. A lot of emotional gunk underneath here. And the caveat with being an Aquarius is that sometimes you question whether or not you are entitled to feel a certain way. You question whether or not this is a logical way to feel. Should I feel this way? Is this the right thing? You analyze it to a point of overthinking. And I feel with the release and the octopus card, it's saying that you're releasing a lot of past baggage. So we're in the final hurrah of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto having that stellium in Capricorn, your 12th house. And then Jupiter and Saturn are going to shift into your first house, and that's going to be very interesting. And of course, we'll be here to talk about it. But in the meantime, Aquarius, I want you to feel okay with releasing what's coming up. And you know, at moments it might overwhelm you and you might think, where did that come from? I feel like with the Firefly, there's some sense of just suddenly, you know, having these little bursts of inspiration, having these little bursts of emotion that you can't quite explain, and then they're gone. And you know, this is saying with the octopus card and the release card is that it's okay to just have the feelings that you're feeling. You know, the full moon at the end of the month is quite an emotional one for you as well. And it is, it's going to be a moment where your ruler Uranus is involved, and it really would like you to release some pain. So the point in between, I feel that in general, Aquarius, a lot of things are coming up, and I feel with all the little graves in this card in the background, you're very upset about past friendships, past relationships, or past endeavors that are gone. And I feel like with the octopus, you're feeling a little bit energetically connected to people from the past. And with Archangel Michael here and the Emperor, ask Archangel Michael to sever cords with negative relationships from the past or relationships that have ended in order for you to feel more emotionally free. Because one of the things that's coming up very clearly, Aquarius, and this has been such a theme for you for the last, you know, as long as I've been doing your cards in the last, I think since August, there's really strong feelings of love. So with the true love card here, Guinevere, the romantic stirrings in your heart have propelled the universe to deliver great love to you. And I also feel with the King of Wands and the King of Cups, a lot of you could be dealing with an Aries, especially because of the Emperor, or a Scorpio. So Aries and Scorpio energy are very significant here. But it can just be deepening of connections with the people that you love the most. Whether you're already in a relationship, this is just confirming, yes, that's your person. And if with the release card, you've had to let go of somebody, that wasn't your person because this person's coming in, okay? So I feel like if you're dealing with somebody in your life, I think communication is an issue in terms of your romantic relationships, and it is because you're going through a period of release at the moment, maybe a release of some shame, really a release of some pent up emotions, a fear of sharing, a fear of getting too close, because we also have the emotional freedom card. And I feel like the people in your life that you're attracting in romantically or in terms of friendship, whatever it is, Aquarius, these are people that you can actually talk to. You can actually be yourself with. The King of Cups in particular is someone who's very compassionate, trustworthy, and respected. Open your heart and mind to those around you. Trustworthy and heartfelt advice. And then with the King of Fire, communicate with vision. Okay, so I think for you, Aquarius, what I'm seeing here is that there is very strong, beautiful bonds coming in for you, or you're in a relationship that is bringing up some past baggage or past feelings that have you've really tried to bury. Okay, and you're going through a bit of an emotional process here. With the Imrama card, where are you being called to journey to? I feel with the emotional freedom card is that you want to go on this journey of new connections, of new relationships, maybe even new business, with the Emperor card here. And I think you really want to be a leader, and you really want to help, and you really want to restructure the world. I think for a lot of you, you really want to become more politically active, or you want to restructure, you want to be a process in that new beginning. You want to be helpful. And I think you will be helpful with the King of Water and the King of Fire. This is combining your emotional determination, your compassion, your heart, and your action. Combining your heart and your action together. And I think with Mars being in retrograde, you know, it's very good for you, Aquarius, to get into your own mind, because the third house I associate very strongly with mental health. And I think you're really getting into your own brain and seeing what's not working. You know, with the octopus, all these tentacles like everywhere. There's a need to meditate and be present, but also do not be afraid of sharing your feelings. And if you really, really like somebody at the moment, I think there's a very strong chance they like you back. So that's lovely. And I do feel like a lot of you are headed into a true love relationship, or you're there. And I feel like if you're in a relationship with somebody, you're going to create something together. You're going to have a spark of genius, particularly towards the end of the month. You're going to have an idea. It's going to be fun. It's going to be creative. You're going to make something together. And you're going to make pretty significant changes in the world too. So love you guys. See you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces. So welcome to your new moon in Libra reading. So first things first. The thing that I really loved about your cards, and I will get into the astrology in a second, but you got the Divine Feminine card, which is the feeling of this new moon. It's all about the Divine Feminine. I can already see from your cards, and I can see from the astrology, that you're in a wounded masculine state. And the reason I say this is because Mars in Aries in retrograde is challenging you financially and in terms of security. And that is really the best way for a Pisces to be exposed as being human. And that's okay. Okay, so this new moon is all about your finances, your financial endeavors and commitments and investments, and where you're placing value. And for a lot of you, you're feeling a bit like, oh, I'm more superficial or materialistic than I thought. No, you're not. You're human. You have needs, you have wants. You are a very psychic and intuitive and connected sign, okay? And you will feel that so much more in 2021. So have a little bit of practice at the moment of getting into a more spiritual, more connected energy. With the Divine Feminine and Mintaken, longing for home, belonging, the original light workers, Pisces, you need to focus on your spiritual side. You are a high priestess. You need to focus on being connected to the universe, keeping that faith. You know, with Jupiter and Capricorn, Jupiter squaring off this new moon, but also Jupiter is actually trining Venus. Venus being the ruler. So you need to be trying to stay in that optimistic wavelength that is going through the sky, because Jupiter and Neptune in your sign, your true traditional rulers, are connected in a sextiling energy, which is very harmonious and very productive. But with Mars in retrograde, I feel like some of you have dug deep into that funk where you're very concerned about money. So the reason I say that is 9 of fire, 7 of fire, and the Ace of Pentacles. So the 9 and the 7 of fire are very defensive energies, feeling like you have to struggle, feeling like you have to fight. There is no need. And do not let your fear of money make you defensive or in conflict with other people. And try not to focus so hard on what you feel that you're concerned about financially, because money is coming. So the Ace of Pentacles, the inflow of abundance, a promising business venture, important documents or contracts. So I don't recommend signing documents or contracts whenever Mercury is in retrograde, obviously. But if you have to take a job in the meantime to sort yourself out financially, I think it's completely fair to suggest that you can take jobs during Mercury retrograde. You can sign contracts. You just have to be aware that they're not necessarily built to last, okay? So that's fine, because after the 13th of November, your money goes boop. So much better. In fact, really good, okay? So have peace, because with the Irene card, there is no need to worry, as everything is working out beautifully. And the Ace of Pentacles, I feel that a lot of you really are coming into your own, and you need to have faith and peace and belief that things will work out financially, and they will. But when you're in a position at the moment astrologically of struggle, Pisces, you're not true to your nature, so you're not attracting what it is that you actually want for yourself. I see that with the Fish card and the Cheetah. You're really trying to make things move quickly, instead of just resisting and going with the flow. I feel like you're swimming upstream in terms of career, in terms of finances, and in general, in terms of intimacy as well. You're trying to rush things, and it's saying no. The reason that you're in a funny position financially is because, Pisces, with the longing for home card, a lot of you with Jupiter in the 11th, it's been in retrograde. It's now not in retrograde, but it's not quite out of the woods. A a lot of you are feeling like you're doubting your spiritual abilities, particularly Pisces rising. You're maybe doubting your psychic abilities, your light worker abilities. Maybe you're an astrologer, a tarot reader, all the things that go hand in hand with Pisces rising. But Pisces rising can be very self-pitying. I'm saying that. I have it. No judgment. And when you get into a position of self-pitying, or it only comes from a lack of belief in yourself. It's not an ego thing. It's a lack of belief, okay? So you need to get your belief in yourself back. With the Mother Earth card and the original Lightworker card, help people. You don't have to help people financially to help people. I know that you're in a moment where you want to give a lot, Pisces, but you don't have to give financially. You can give your heart, you can give your advice, your spiritual healing. You're being called to do all those type of things, and that is when you'll start to see money paying off. I feel like with the Lightworkers card, you're a bit homesick. So that could be literally, you could be missing home, you could be missing your family, or you could just be missing where your spirit usually goes, Pisces. It's almost like you can travel out of your mind and out of your human body and have these beautiful out of body experiences, these imaginations, and it just feels stifled at the minute. And you're kind of homesick for where you belong, which is the spiritual plane. But please don't worry. Access your divine feminine energy. Create, move around your furniture. Try to be creative with the clothes that you do have. Try and show a bit of love to the items you possess in order to attract more abundance as well. Cleaning out your wardrobe, reorganizing things, ironing things, whatever you do to put out that vibration of love for what you have, more will follow back. Okay, Pisces? So I love you guys very much. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi, Aries. So welcome to the new moon segment in your sign. This new moon is occurring in your 7th house of partnerships and relationships, and it is, of course, in conflict. It's opposed your 1st house of self. So the axis of you is who you are versus who you're with, and how the two balance and how the two combine, and your own needs in a relationship in comparison to someone else's needs in a relationship. So there's a lot of developments going on there. There's also, and because of the aspect to your contracts, your partnerships in business or relationships, it's opposed, it's square your 10th house of long-term goals. A lot of you are, from what I can see here, learning to take that slow and steady approach with the Page of Earth, okay? So scholarly, dependable, patient and successful. Good news about financial matters. Wanting to do something more challenging or a new area of study. So one of the things that I'm seeing for you, Aries, is that the new moon is a time for you to really reassess what you are committed to, what you are investing your time in. Your work situation in particular is coming into focus here as being something that you might have a bit of anxiety about, because the 9 of Air and the 5 of Earth is saying that certain things might be worrying you. For a lot of you, you're overstretched, overworked. For many of you, you're starting to feel a little bit isolated in your area of work. I think for many of you, you're hoping to branch out and be self-employed, or you're hoping to move into a new area or really hone into some skills. And despite the optimism and excitement that you maybe feel for venturing into something new in terms of your financial situation or a new role, a bit more leadership, a bit more guidance, you're actually feeling a little bit fearful and anxious about it, and it's manifesting in terms of your dreams and in terms of your sleep patterns. So for a lot of you that are somewhat out of touch emotionally with how you're feeling, it's manifesting in your sleep. So for many of you, you could be grinding your teeth, you could be tossing and turning, you could be finding that you're waking up at strange hours of the nights, and if that applies to you, it's likely to do with fear or uncertainty regarding your stability or your long-term goals. But I think, Aries, what's really occurring here is that you have a very strong ability with this new moon, particularly because your day-to-day work, Venus and Virgo, is opposed Neptune in a very psychic and very spiritual side of this. You actually have a lot of intuition that you're possibly not tapping into, in particular regarding work. So I feel that for a lot of you with the Sorceress and the Dragon card, you need to be more in touch with your magic. You need to be more in touch with your spiritual side, your witchy side even. And this new moon is a wonderful time to set some intentions and see them grow despite the challenge and frustration. It's having that belief. And oftentimes Aries is a sign we associate with immediate gratification. You know, I'll believe it when I see it. And you're being asked to take a pause and have a bit more of a, especially with your ruler in retrograde, have a bit more of a moment of, I'll see it when I believe it. You know, tune into another frequency is something that's coming up for you in particular. Now, one of the things that is apparent to you with the Soul Family card is that you are going through a period of calling in people that are more compatible with you, aligning with people that are more compatible with you in friendship, in romantic relationships, connecting more deeper with your, much more deeply, with your family. Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio, which is a very intimate side for you. And I think for a lot of you, there are some feelings bubbling up in that time that you can't quite express. So with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, it feels as though for you that if you're trying to keep secrets, you can't keep them. If you are trying to keep your feelings hidden, that's not going to work. You know, it's kind of pulling all the depth and stuff out of you. And you may be prone to jealousy with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. So one thing that I'm seeing here with the sexuality card, the Page of Water, and the Five of Air, one thing that's coming up is that if you're in a relationship or you're dating somebody, or, you know, if you're even looking backwards a little bit, there could be pangs of jealousy come up that make you question yourself or make you question your stability at times. That's that Mercury in Scorpio opposite Uranus energy around this new moon. And I think for many of you, you could have been hurt before or feel like you've made a poor decision, an unwise choice where you learn what, you know, maybe you mistook someone's motives, maybe you questioned your own motives, maybe you did something silly, maybe you did something that you regret. And I feel like it's hurting your romantic or your creative expression. So with the Page of Cups and the sexuality card, I feel like for a lot of you, an ex or even somebody that wasn't defined, you know, it could just be a relationship in general from your past. It could also be a friendship. Somebody hurt you quite badly with the Five of Swords, or something knocked your confidence, and I feel like it is restricting your sexual expression or your creative expression in some way, shape or form. That's not for everybody, but I'm seeing this more as a jealous energy coming through with that Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. I think my computer's glitching a little bit. That's again Mercury retrograde. But I feel like with the Page of Cups and the sexuality card, if you could be honest, a relationship begins a new phase, heightened psychic abilities. If you could be honest about how you feel, Aries, you're more likely to have fulfilling connections, especially with the aspect between Mars and the new moon in Libra. You know, your partnership and romantic relationships are all quite to the fore at the moment. And I also feel like there is just this sense with the air energy of a bit of fear surrounding you. You know, all the cardinal tension, all the challenging aspects of the astrology at the moment are kind of hitting you in the face. They're hitting you in the mind, where you're maybe feeling quite anxious and quite uncertain and a bit shaky at times even. But your cards seem to suggest that you really have an opportunity to turn that around, and something, as you can see with the Despondence card, something is growing and blossoming. This is the birth canal kind of energy that we're going through at the moment. And you've no choice but to keep going forward and to know that something beautiful is about to birth. I think for a lot of you, it's in your relationship life with the Soul card, the Soul Family card, feeling deeper connections to people, feeling magical connections to people, feeling very loved and supported. That is the part of your life that you're moving into more so, with a lot of creativity and a lot of freedom. So it's actually looking really beautiful. Despite the anxious energies, Aries, things are moving forward in a way that's very cohesive. With the two pages, I feel that a lot of you are going to step into a significant relationship, particularly if it is business, but also romantically speaking. I feel that you're things are moving along nicely, but I do feel like there's a bit of fear for you, especially with this Five of Air, a bit of fear coming in from the past, a bit of expecting the worst, a bit of challenges to how you express yourself and how you relate to other people. But that's okay, because things are actually working out quite well, Aries. They are realigning you with your more creative side, your more nurturing side, your ability to receive love, to receive abundance, and to receive psychic downloads. Okay, Aries, so that is your reading. I will see you soon. Bye. Hi, Taurus. So this is your new moon in Libra segment, and the new moon is in your 6th house of work and day-to-day affairs, and it is opposite your 12th house. So that's what I really want to focus on for you in terms of the energies and in terms of your cards. So as well as that, let's just take a moment to focus on the beautiful aspect, though, that is between the ruler of this full moon, which is also your ruler, which is Venus, and it's in harmony with Jupiter. Okay, so the new moon itself is not in harmony with Jupiter. There's a square going on, but there is a trine between your sector of love and creativity and pleasure, as well as your 9th house of higher ideals. So that is kind of where I'm going with this. So there is that beautiful energy to tap into, as well as that Venus in Virgo. Your 5th house is opposed Piscean energy, the Neptune and Pisces aspect, which is of course your 11th. So there is a lot to think about in terms of manifestation. But the main thing that's coming up for you, despite, tap into that beautiful energy as much as you want. Be creative, okay? Be present, be loving, be curious even. But one of the things that is coming up for you, Taurus, is that something in your life, because the new moon is opposite your 12th house, which is to do with closures, right? There is something in your life that needs to be closed out. And the reason that I say that is because we have the impasse card and we also have the no card. It means that something in your life is just not working. Something in your life is just feeling like it's not moving, the timing's wrong. You wanted something to get off the ground and then all of a sudden it was halted. Mercury is retrograde in your partnership zone. So in terms of contracts, in terms of business, there's a bit of backwards and a bit of, I thought this was going one direction. It's not really. One of the other things I want to say for you is that I feel that there may be the return of some kind of personality in your life, quite possibly an air sign, Libra, Aquarius, Gemini, who is quite toxic. So one of the things that happens oftentimes with Mercury being in Scorpio is that you can hear from exes. They can pop in just to pop out again. They can, the level of what they offer or suggest or whatever is completely dependent on the situation. Mercury in your 7th house kind of just means their return. I feel for you, Taurus, especially with Mars retrograding in the 12th, that there could be somebody in your life returning that you have to really say no to. I feel like this person blocks your energy. They block you from being who you are. They block you from growing. They block you from developing. And they're really always opening up this wound for you. So it could be that you finally let go of this person in your head. It doesn't even have to be that they return. You could just be thinking about them a lot. But that aspect with Mars in the 12th, I feel like this is somebody that just is not good for you. 7 of Swords is a trickster. Page of Air is someone who is challenging the truth delivered without tact. So that may be how you're feeling about this person. Maybe a lot of people around you don't like them and they tell you so and you feel kind of put out by this. But the 7 of Air and the Page of Air is an untrustworthy individual, and I feel it's to do with Mercury. It could be an Aquarius actually because of the Zebra card, but somebody who could be very flamboyant or somebody who you just feel like sticks out in your head. They're kind of unique as a pattern in your mind. They might not be unique to everybody else, but to you they kind of stick out. I'm actually for you going to do a clarifier on what this energy is. Queen of Cups. So I feel like it could be somebody, it could actually be a water sign, a Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, but somebody who really somebody who takes advantage of your caring nature, and they really take advantage of your empathy, and they know that you deserve a lot more than they can give you, but it doesn't stop them kind of wasting your time. It could be a friendship. Okay, so we have, clearly for everyone it's very different signs, okay? But you're actually going into a new chapter, Taurus. It's going to be full of adventure and excitement coming up, okay? So you're really needing to stay away from this. I feel like this could be somebody that you think is very good looking, or you feel like they're very adventurous or very exciting, but I feel like they could be somebody who has real highs and lows, somebody who gets very into themselves and really neglects you as a result. So I feel like there could be that coming up for you around this new moon, and just to be careful about who you decide to have new starts to, because the no card is just saying to me there's somebody in your life, Taurus, you need to say no to, and maybe it's you need to exert more boundaries. Maybe it's that you need more alone time. With the Siege card here, you're going through a period, especially with Mars being in retrograde, where you need to rest, you need to reparent yourself, and you need to work through some wounds that are holding you back and have been holding you back for a long time. That is something that I'm seeing here, because with the full moon coming up at the end of the month in your sign being a blue moon, Taurus, I feel that you are going to be asked to really be yourself. Like, really be yourself. I mean, wear the things you want to wear, say the things you want to say, be the person that you've always wanted to be, and in a really authentic way, you know, not tailored to meet your environment. I think for a lot of you, some of you are a lot more witchier than you appear to be. I feel like for a lot of you, some of you are trying to dress in a way that you feel will be pleasing to everybody else, but really your nature wants you to be more witchy. And elevated. My ears just popped as I say that. They want you to elevate yourself, to think from a higher perspective, and to be okay with believing in something bigger, because I think a lot of you are natural witches. With the Nine of Cups and the Knight of Fire, I do think you're coming into a period in Sagittarius season at the end of the year where you're going to get a wish fulfilled. And when you get that wish fulfilled, it's going to be because you've stepped into a more authentic appearance. You're really getting, I think a lot of you are really getting into your fashion, or really getting into the way that you present yourself, your makeup or your clothes. It's all becoming a bit more unique, and maybe you're already quite unique and you're just feeling more confident with it and more comfortable with it, and you're not trying to tailor yourself to meet anybody else. I do feel like this new moon is a reset for you, Taurus, in terms of your habits, how you live your day to day, what you put in your body, how you exercise, how you exert yourself. But it really is saying to you, you know, make more time in your day for that nurturing energy, for resting, for being patient, for being silent, for being calm, and really letting the intuition that needs to come through for you, Taurus, come through. And that's whenever everything seems to shift towards manifesting what it is that you want, because you are manifesting something. I think for a lot of you it's travel, but I think for many of you it could also be just being more self-assured and adventurous and passionate. Things aren't taking off right now, but they will, and when they do, you'll like it. Okay, Taurus? So I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your new moon in Libra segment. So this new moon is occurring in your 5th house, particularly if you're a Gemini rising. That is all to do with creativity, with children, with love, with romance, with pleasure, and it is coming into tension with your 11th house. Mars is retrograde in Aries, your 11th house, which is, of course, magnifying the things that you want in life, the things that you want to manifest, but it's actually slowing down your powers of manifestation. And it feels like a lot of things just aren't moving. And I think for many of you, with the Queen of Air and the Two of Air, you're at this stalemate where you don't know how to move forward because you're kind of tired. It feels as though something in your life is stuck. It is a stalemate solution where you're just kind of in this little period, and you had all these big plans. The Seven of Cups here, you had all these things that you wanted to achieve, all these dreams in your head, many options of what it is that you want to achieve. Some of them, yes, maybe castles in the sky. And the reason for these delays at the moment, Gemini, is because you're being asked to put a lot of focus into your intimate relationships and your love relationships and your family, rather than constantly achieving. So the way that I'm seeing this is that you are someone who has a wonderful sense of humor, a wonderful way of looking at things. You're very articulate, but you're clearing out with this new moon a lot of stuff that doesn't serve you. You know, a lot of attitudes that don't serve you. It's good to work at things. It's good to fulfill your dreams, but perhaps your dreams are coming from a place of trauma. With the Unbound card, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives, I feel like a lot of you with these delays are being asked just simply to evaluate if the thing that is constantly having a false start, is stalling, if that is what you really want. For many of you, what I really like to see is that Mars retrograde in the 11th house, I think, is giving you a very keen interest in astrology. It's either making you better at it if you like it already, a better tarot reader, a better numerologist. I feel with the Queen of Air, she's looking into this crystal ball, and in the crystal ball is a unicorn, and a unicorn is something that none of us have seen, but there's always question of whether it's true or not, and you're questioning certain things. You're like, is this real or is this not? With the Seven of Cups, I feel like there are a few things that need to be looked at again, and need to look into your options, and need to figure out what it is that you really want. Because I do feel like there's delays occurring around you that are out of your control. But why they annoy you, you have to ask yourself if it's because of superficial reasons. One of the things, Gemini, I'm seeing for you with the starfish and the lizard is that there's too much regulation coming from outside of yourself rather than inside of yourself. There's a need to self-regulate. There's a need to self-soothe. And there's a need to make sure that you're doing things with your soul growth and expansion in mind. So if there are stalling moments in business, I think they're asking you to connect more deeply to the people that you love around you, to spend more time with them, but also to connect to a new interest. And I do think for many of you, it's astrology, it's stargazing, it is holistic medicine, it is something spiritual, something kind of witchy, the spirit of Halloween. You know, I do feel like a lot of you are releasing yourself, and particularly Gemini, because we are leading up to the full moon in your 12th house, which is going to connect Uranus also in your 12th house. You're really going to be pushed out of a soul contract, of a past life situation, of a past life karma. You've done it, okay? So these stalls at the moment are asking you just simply to be very present, to also get creative, to be in a mindset of creativity. I can make this happen, I can make magic happen, look at all the options I have, rather than focusing on what is not working at the moment, okay? And also making sure that what you want to create next is coming from a place of, this makes me feel good at a soul level. You know, with the Unbound card, you really are going to be absolutely thrown out of a karmic path, a karmic relationship, a karmic job. You're going to be thrown out of something pattern wise. It could be ancestral, it could be a family pattern, and do a lot of healing from that. So you're really being asked at the moment, Gemini, that despite things looking kind of heavy or stale, you're being asked to really feel present and really connect to source. I also feel like the throat chakra, you feel like you can't articulate what it is that you want to say. You feel like you can't express yourself completely authentically at the moment. With the stellium in your 8th house, stellium, patata. Patata's not a word. With that going on in Capricorn, your 8th house, I do feel like there is a soul contract being released as well. I do feel like there is some heavy stuff being aspected. You know, the new moon in Libra is your 5th house. It's aspecting your 8th house. So, you know, how deep do you go? Where is this all coming from? What is it that you really want deeply? Where do you feel most creative? Who do you feel most creative with? What do you want to change? This new moon is a wonderful time to think about all those things. Your ruler Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio at the moment, and Scorpio is your 6th house of work. So your work situation, there could be a stalemate. Things could suddenly feel slower. You could have to revise plans. You could get locked down again if that's what it is, but you're being asked to really revisit and rethink your day-to-day schedule and what you'd actually like to change, because for some of you it's affecting your health. Okay, there are some health related issues coming up for you that you need to be very mindful of, having Mercury retrograde in the 6th. So be patient with yourself, stay calm, focus on yoga or healing that works with your back. I feel like it's the spine could be affecting a lot of you. You know, your back area, your back shoulders, just feeling a sense of being out of alignment, feeling a little bit tense, and you really need to heal that kind of stress, because you're carrying a lot of the weight of the world on your shoulders, even if you don't realize it, Gemini. And this is a time to process it, heal it, because the end of the month is going to be very interesting for you. Okay, so love you guys very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Cancer, welcome to your segment on the Libra new moon. This Libra new moon is occurring in your 4th house of family. You are the sign that represents the 4th house, so you understand the energy well. It is a time where you want to feel you would enjoy some more time with the family, a bit more quiet, a bit more peace. This new moon is in tension with Mars in your 10th house of career though. And I'm feeling for a lot of you Cancer, there has been a recent disappointment. There has been something that really caused you a lot of pain, a lot of stress, and a lot of strife, something that you invested in quite heavily. It could have been work, it could have been love, it could have been your body. And there was some kind of trauma or destruction to this that has made you feel very upset. This is an energy that you're carrying forward regardless of when it occurred. With the Awakening card, which is also the Hanged Man card, I feel that you're in a bit of a standstill with this particular pain. It could be that you've experienced some bad news in regards to it, delays, further setbacks, whatever this is. Cancer, the reason that these setbacks are occurring is so that you can realign. This is a very quiet period. Libra season is a quiet period for you where you're supposed to be resting. With the energy coming into conflict with your partnerships, your romantic relationships, your family relationships, your home relationships, I feel that a lot of you haven't had the opportunity to properly rest, and it has led you to feel somewhat out of alignment and in a place where you're kind of running away from the things that are really getting to you. And with the Hathor card, receptivity, you're supposed to be receiving help at this time too. Allow other people to support you and to be there for you. You know, rely on people in your life that you know that you can find that from. Because I feel that at the moment, Cancer, you're really very out of balance in terms of all your relationships, where your heart is. It kind of feels scattered in different places, like you're trying to be the best parent or be the best friend or be the best romantic relationship, but you're trying to thrive in your career. And I feel with Mars in retrograde, we're now at the halfway point between this retrograde, that career-wise, you really need to take a pause. You really need to stop for a moment and think about the future. Contemplate it. Indulge in the thoughts of what could be. With the Life Purpose card and the Maturity card, you have learned a lot, especially with Saturn sitting opposite you for the last few years. You've taken on a lot of lessons. And you're being asked at the moment to reflect and see how strong you are and how much you've actually learned, rather than beat yourself up for what is not going fast enough. Because, you know, Cancer, your 6th house of work is Sagittarius, and we have the Horse card here, which means that you can see into the future. You want to go after your goals. You want to have optimism about your work life. You are a natural goal setter in that regard. This is very much that energy with the horse. The horse is that physical stamina, but he also has the mental capacity. And I feel like for a lot of you, by the time we get to Sagittarius season, you really have to make sure, especially because the South Node is there at the moment, you have to make sure that you're listening to your body and letting it heal when it needs to heal. For a lot of you, if you're overdoing it, it's manifesting in sickly feelings, like not feeling well. And with the Snake card, I do suspect as well, Cancer, you have a lot of untapped energy you're not using at the moment, and at the moment you can't see it because you're so blinded by a different perspective. You're so blinded by the things that aren't working that you need to have that perspective shift, and then things start to align, because the delays and the disappointments are aligning you much deeper with your life purpose. And whether or not that's your current career, whether or not that is, you know, maybe your life purpose is more to do with a relationship or a project or something, but you're being realigned with it at the moment, and you're being asked not to be discouraged. You know, the astrology is frustrating at the moment, but I feel like a lot of pain is there for you that you need to understand before you move forward. Like, you need to understand why it's happened. With the Maturity card, it's to make you wiser, it's to make you a better teacher, it's to make you a better leader. And for a lot of you, maybe your life purpose is in teaching. That seems to be something that's coming up. Maybe your life purpose is more to do with telling other people the lessons that you've learned, or writing them down, writing a book, writing something that you can, because Venus is in Virgo, it's in your third house of communication, and that is very much to do with writing and verbalizing. And it's trine Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto. And of course, Jupiter and Pluto are in Capricorn, which is your sign of partnership. But Uranus is in Taurus, which is your 11th house of wishes and sparks of genius. So really, the more you write things down, Cancer, the more answers that you get, and the more you can manifest the things that you actually want. But at the moment, it's okay to see that the frustration in terms of work isn't asking you to stop entirely. It's asking you to keep going, but from a place of confidence and a place of a well-rested, happier Cancer. So I hope you enjoyed that, Cancer. I will see you in the full moon in Taurus. Bye. Hi Leo, welcome to your new moon in Libra segment. So the new moon in Libra is of course occurring in your third house of communication, of neighbors, of siblings, of extended family. The way I'm seeing this is it's more to do with the way that you articulate yourself. So this third house is opposed the 9th house. So when we think about that, we think about the monkey mind versus the higher self, the chatter in your own brain, your own way of coming to conclusions, the way that you express yourself, the way that you communicate. And it is opposed your higher self, the self that has accumulated knowledge, accumulated wisdom. Of course, it's all aspecting as well your 6th house, which is your work. So for a lot of you, one of the things that I'm seeing, Leo, as being significant with your cards, at least with the Vesta card, home, is that Mercury is retrograding now in your 4th house of home, Scorpio. So there is a change coming up in your home situation. You're revisiting where you live, where you'd like to live. You may be thinking about moving, you're weighing up those kind of decisions. I wouldn't recommend necessarily moving anywhere now unless you're moving home, okay? So that is one thing that I will say, unless you're moving back to an old house. Mercury retrograde in the home sector can oftentimes be quite tricky in terms of moves. So one thing that is recommended is moving if you're going back to an old residence rather than something new, because there can be trickiness comes up with new contracts in terms of the home. Unless it is a temporary situation, that is okay. So another thing that's coming up with this new moon, and I'm thinking about the communication and the higher self, is that you have learned a key lesson about what triggers you, Leo. And I think for a lot of you, judging by the cards, I think it could be the things that you love the most and seeing where your pain bodies lie. Where you're being triggered to react in a certain way. And I think with the Divine Passion card, when you get upset or you get angry, it can be ferocious. I have a feeling with the Self-Respect card that a lot of you are realizing with the opposition between the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine, what it takes to be strong, what it takes to be emotionally strong, what it takes to act in a way that is in your best interests without being selfish, without compromising on your boundaries, but also being respectful to somebody else. Self-respect is required if you want to be respected by anyone around you, and you know that more than anybody. Being the kings and queens of the jungle, you understand that self-respect is key to being respected, which is really positive. But I can't help but feel with the Mirror card that during Libra season, because it is all to do with partnerships and bonding, like bonds that we have with people, I feel that a lot of you are in a romantic relationship where you're seeing yourself in the other person, and it's kind of triggering. I mean, it may be that you really, really care about them and it's making you frightened, it's making you insecure, or it's triggering you in some way because there's a little wound here. It doesn't even necessarily have to be little. There's a wound surrounding love and surrounding self-respect in romantic relationships. But what I will say is this: with the Lovers and the Sun card, the sun being your energy, I feel that love is really taking a very pleasant turn if it is in a tricky place. And if you are being triggered by somebody that you really, really love, and they're not doing it intentionally, it's just that a psychological wound is coming up for you. You know, it's not somebody that's gaslighting you or you being abusive, nothing like that. If you're in a relationship like that, I think you have the self-respect to go. But what I am seeing is that with these two cards, I feel that you are really finding yourself feeling more self-love, feeling more self-assurance, putting yourself first is one thing that I'm seeing with the Sun card and the Lovers. For a lot of you, this could be falling in love with somebody. It could be making a big decision in terms of your romantic relationships, but I feel like you're making it from a higher perspective. Yeah. Venus is in your second house, which is security, which is worth, and it is opposing Neptune, which is in your intimate 8th house. And that's where I think you're being a bit triggered around this new moon. You're being triggered by some old wounds in love. But I think for a lot of you with the Sun and the Lovers, I feel that there is a happy relationship on the cards for you. And I want to say, I think it could be with a water sign because of the wheel. But this could, it looks to be Gemini is here, Leo is here, yeah, and it could be any sign, of course, but with the wheel card, I feel that a lot of you have really met somebody who's very emotionally mature, or you're calling in someone that's emotionally mature, or in a current relationship, you are both coming to a new point of emotional maturity. You're learning from each other. The wheel energy is someone who's very loyal, very kind, very successful, emotionally speaking. They really know themselves, they know other people. They don't jump to conclusions. They don't rush through issues. They're emotionally secure enough to work through things. And sometimes you feel at that, you know, not to be judgmental, but sometimes you as a Leo, when ego gets in the way, and it's the same with all the fixed signs, when ego gets in the way, you can sometimes take somebody's emotional needs as criticism, which isn't always the case. And I think in this case, it is your emotional wound that is showing you just how respectful, or not, you know, because you could be exiting unhealthy relationships to meet better ones, how somebody deals with your emotional wounds. They're very, you know, this wheel energy is someone who's very secure, and it could be that you're embodying that wheel energy now, or you have a really good friend who's very much there for you emotionally. But I think in terms of your intimate relationships, there's really happy energy, and you're pulling out self-confidence, and the way that you're getting it, Leo, is by working on your mental health and your philosophical health, you know, good spiritual hygiene, working through issues, reflecting on issues because of the mirror card here. You're really reflecting on your past and your journey to self-respect, and you're forgiving yourself for getting it wrong at times. With the Pele card, it's all about being honest with who you are. But I do see for a lot of you a really strong romantic relationship on the cards, or at least friendships that you love, family times that you love, feeling very happy, feeling very brilliant. And this new moon is your kind of reset, that no matter how things appear and how much of a journey you've been on, you're coming through into the next stage. And the next stage in particular, with Mars moving direct in November at the next new moon. And then Mars is going to be in Aries, and it's going to be connecting with the Sagittarian energy, which is much to do with love and romance for you. This is going to be a really wonderful time for you in terms of romance. So if things feel very strange at the moment or uncertain, just know that you're headed towards a very beautiful period in terms of your heart space, Leo, okay? So that's all I have for you. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi, Virgo. Welcome to your segment on the new moon in Libra. Okay, Virgo, so this is your second house. It's a lot to do with worth. It's a lot to do with value. And we're having a few moments of resetting here. Now, the opposition is, of course, in the two financial houses of the zodiac for you, which is the 2nd and the 8th. So there could be some opposition between your money and other people's money. There could be some conflict there, or there could be some confusion. Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio, which is your 3rd house of communication, and Mercury is your ruler. So if you don't have the words to articulate what you want to say, that is okay. Nobody would expect you to. But you know, maybe conversely, the energy is pulling you in a little bit deeper to really express yourself, you know. Speak from the heart, speak from a place of truth and really understand where you've maybe been shadowing yourself in terms of what you say. You know, maybe you've been a bit harsh on yourself in terms of your communication skills. So, okay, let's have a little look at your cards. The first card that we had for you is the Garden. So this is, to me, kind of an energy where you are allowed to sit for a moment and bask in all that you have achieved. With the Garden energy, it's very much about growing, nurturing, harvesting, maintaining. It's very much earth energy, and the stellium in Capricorn, of course, is still going. Capricorn being your 5th house of creativity and of romance. And of course, there is a bit of conflict between that sector and your money sector at the moment. So you may not feel like you have the resources to enjoy yourself. You may not feel able to rest in your laurels. And so you're really focusing primarily on work. With the 10 of Wands, 10 of Fire in this deck, too much work, accept help from others, life is out of balance, stress-related health concerns. I really do think, Virgo, that as we're moving into 2021, you know, we're getting to that energy with so much in Aquarius. And your health will be very much a pivotal point of 2021. And that's not to scare you, by the way. That's not anything, you know, to do with predictions on what is going to be going on with your body. But Jupiter in the 6th is actually very lucky, right? But Saturn in the 6th is also where you see where you have been restricting your body too much, or you have been, you know, overdoing it. Because Jupiter and Saturn, they're so different. Jupiter is where you overdo it, and Saturn is where you restrict it. So when you think of the two in the same sign as we've had this year, it's all about finding a bit of a balance. The up and down energy. And I think for a lot of you, you've been working way too hard. I also feel like you've been pulling other people's weight, and that's not uncommon with the sign of Virgo. But with the Strength card here, I feel that you have been helping other people quite a lot, and that is your energy, that is your nature. Venus, the planet of money, is in your sign, of course, so I feel like you are motivated to serve, and you are motivated to work. But one thing that I'm seeing bubbling up for you is a little bit of resentment with people. You know, with this full moon, new moon, apologies, it feels like a full moon, you know what I mean? A bit of bubbling up and resentment towards people taking from you so much, because the Strength card is when you have to forgive people and be compassionate. And I feel that that tipping point between the Libra and the Aries energy for you is all about your resources. And I think a lot of you are tapped out. I think a lot of you have really, you know, given so much to other people, and you're a naturally giving sign. So I think what you need to do here is to give a bit more to you. You know, keep giving, but make sure that you're replenishing rather than anything else. You know, take a rest for a moment, book a few days off if you can, bask in the energy. Or if you're looking for, you know, with the Strength card and the 10 of Wands, I feel like a lot of you are really having to be strong about a work situation or a career situation, and you're feeling really tired. You know, and one of the things that came up as your spirit animal was the hummingbird. I love the hummingbird. I love the hummingbird imagery. I love what the hummingbird does. You know, it's such an incredible speed. Quite like yourself, you know, able to do so much in such a short space of time, and yet knows where to draw the nectar from. And I think for you, you have to figure out, Virgo, where you are replenishing yourself. You know, what makes your spirit feel alive? For many of you, it's creative. For many of you, it is being in a state of creation, but also going with nature. You know, have a little look at the cycles in your life. For women, look at your monthly cycles. In general, look at your sleep cycles, because there's an honor the cycles of your body, energy levels, and emotions at the moment. So really checking out how you feel, what your body is telling you, what your sleep patterns are telling you. For a lot of you, I think, Virgo, and I'm thinking that this is maybe to do with Venus in your sign opposite Neptune in the 7th. But the Pisces energy, you know, there is that balancing act between giving and receiving in your partnerships as well. And I think with the Enlightenment card, a lot of you are actually going through a period of enlightenment here. And I think it's disturbing the cycles, and I think your body and everything is feeling out of whack, and all of a sudden things that feel quite harsh, you're incredibly sensitive to. So with that axis of the 1st and 7th house, you really are needing to achieve a balance, and it's a balance between working and being spiritual, which is what you need to do to balance yourself out, Virgo, because you're a practical service sign. You give in terms of practical measures, and then your opposite sign, Pisces, gives in terms of spiritual gifts and healing and compassion. And that's the energy that you need to feel a bit more balanced. With the Enlightenment card, I feel that you are having a bit of an awakening, and we have the Age of Light card. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Maybe your energy in astrology and, you know, anything spiritual, although I think for a lot of you, especially Virgo rising, I feel that it's holistic. I feel that it could be herbal medicine. This may even be your moon, but homeopathic remedies, Reiki healing, yoga as well, something that you might need to check out here. But those type of things are where you're getting your nectar. So if you feel completely like you need to be replenished, that is where you're getting your nectar from, is that feeling of awakening, the Age of Light. We also have the Ever Unfolding Rose, which is such a beautiful card. A lot of things in your life, Virgo, at the moment might seem very confusing, but this card always reminds you that it's happening for a reason. It's happening to you. And the cards seem to really want you to open up at the moment. You know, with Mars retrograde in a very intimate, very, you know, the 8th house, I think it's a very mysterious sector, but Mars is retrograding there. So you're acting from a point of mystery that you don't like. You know, you like to have your facts lined up. But you're really getting to know yourself, and you're really getting to know your own soul. And I think it's very important for you to have these moments of depth in order to see what it is that you want to do. I do feel like you're really struggling with something, trying to make something happen. And with Mars in retrograde, I think at the moment, especially around this new moon, is that when we get to the end of the month and we get into November, things are going to progress so much better for you. Things will be working. At the moment though, things do feel tough and things feel stressful, and you're being asked to just try and find your nectar where you can find it. I do think for a lot of you it's in spirituality, and I think for a lot of you it is in that moment of enlightenment. And you're going to look back at 2020 and say, do you know what? I get it. I get why this had to happen. And maybe even be glad that it did. So Virgo, I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.